Hi, my name is Ben Trump, and I'm doing a presentation about managing absenteeism for Nursing 420 Nursing Leadership and Management. Absenteeism. It's more than just calling in sick. Absenteeism, not showing up for work on the scheduled hours that you're supposed to be there, can be a reflection of an organization, institution, or unit's health. Associated with that can very closely correlate with staff turnover, and then obviously as managers, that should be important to us because we want to be concerned about staff retention of high quality individuals. Our textbook that we were assigned for this course by Sullivan, Nursing Leadership and Management, classifies absenteeism into two different things. On the right-hand side would be our involuntary absenteeism, which would be this concept of I had no explanation, I had no idea that I couldn't come into work today. Hey, I woke up with a fever. My child is sick. I can't come to work. Or transportation problems. Vehicle accident. Vehicle just wouldn't work as I attempted or planned to come into work today. As compared to the left-hand side, this voluntary absenteeism, which would be more of this, I just don't feel like it today. Has more personal characteristics and emotions, so to speak, in choosing not to go to work. So laid out here, I have a concept taken out of our textbook as well, related to what we had just talked about on the prior slide. On the right-hand side, you can see that these would be more of this this voluntary absenteeism, such as if I'm not satisfied with my job, I don't really want to come to work today. If the labor market has many nursing jobs open, what's the purpose of, hey, I can just skip today. And if my employer decides to can me or fire me for not showing up to work, I'll go get a job somewhere else. And that clearly follows and flows right into organizational practices and what this absence culture, or what is the viewpoint from my unit or my staff members that I work alongside with on if or when someone calls off, then it's truly not an emergency. Again, on the left-hand side would be those instances of there's no other way. I need to call off work because something took me by surprise. So those reasons on the left-hand side typically would cause somebody to call off work and be absent. On the right-hand side really are some not good reasons for calling off work, and they should be reasons that they should tend their job if they really paid attention to it. So some policies we should be aware of as managers. Certain institutions have this vacation time and sick time encountered or encompassed into one. And studies have shown that if staff knows that they're going to hit a ceiling with the accrual of paid time bank or this personal time, sick time, they're more likely to use it for those voluntary absentee call-offs. I just don't feel like coming to work. What's the point in continuing to work and accrue when I've hit a ceiling? I'm not accruing anymore. Certain institutions have gotten away from that sort of workaround by reimbursing or thanking employees who do the due diligent thing and show up for work when it's the right thing to do by sort of paying them that time when they would go to leave an institution or retire. The Family Medical Leave Act is a policy that is a federal act. As managers, we need to be aware of. Specifically, it's for institutions who employ greater than 50 employees, and specifically if they're not all housed on the same area, it's within the 75-mile radius that somebody who has worked for an institution for longer than 12 months or within that 12-month period greater than a certain amount of hours, they are legally mandated to maintain their health insurance coverage during a time of leave. A time of leave can be classified as the birth or adoption of a child, a personal or family illness, and during this time frame, which can be a maximum of 12 weeks, that employee can come back to their job as if they were gone for a day. They get placed right back in the same position. Their job is held for them until that FEMLA has been exhausted during that year time. So, as managers monitoring absenteeism and employee selection, first and foremost, we should be role models. We should be the ones not calling off. We should be there day in and day out, within reason, obviously. And as we do that, we should also be monitoring not just our specific unit, see if there's trends or certain individuals who have attendance problems, but compare not just units of the hospital, but also like other institutions, say like emergency rooms of one hospital and another hospital. Are there people calling off repeatedly during holidays or weekends or Mondays type thing? And then for those people who are there consistently, we should also have some type of like reward, whether that is monetary or whether that would be something related to just congratulations to them. An article by Iqbal Chagani reports that there's a range between $42,000 and $64,000 in order to train a novice nurse. So, as managers, why are we concerned about this? Well, because that's a lot of money. That's really expensive. So if we have somebody leaving and we are bringing another nurse into that, there's a whole variety of components which would go into this turnover of an employee leaving and us hiring a new person. Not just related to an increase in staff turnover, but institutions also suffer not just from the monetary standpoint, but just because quality decreases, and typically along with that, patient satisfaction. Some causes of employee turnover can be market opportunities. The perception of an employee on what's the ease of me leaving this place and getting a job somewhere else. And that goes directly with the economy. We see times of recession and people being a little bit more judicious with their use of voluntarily calling off for non-ill purposes. And then there is a still component as managers where we need to make the tough decisions on, is this a voluntary, the employee wants to leave for greener pastures, so to speak, or is this an employee who has been having some discipline problems or just needs to let go for certain reasons, which would be an involuntary type turnover. And then not just from a monetary standpoint, but we want to look at this from not like, what's this doing to our staff morale as well, this indirect cost? Not just the $42,000 to $64,000, but like what sort of stress or physical, emotional, or mental burden is being put on other staff due to this person leaving. So therefore, we want to talk about staff retainment. Certain magnet institutions have found that nurses in magnet hospitals have a significantly higher satisfaction than nurses in non-magnet hospitals. And a lot of the times we hear about nurses going to another job for, just $1 more per hour. And, that can affect staff morale. But there's also this job satisfaction and the health of the work environment as well. So, are we paying attention to our nurse-patient ratios? There needs to be a balance of challenge and structure for our nurses, and they need to feel as if they have a hand in, so to speak, as the picture shows, of this institution. Are they contributing something? Do they feel like that? And that would be this employee engagement component or definition. where in an article that I found labeled How to Manage Staff Retention, employee engagement was found to be critical to an organization's health. Employees felt more likely to be invested in such an institution if they have that sort of commitment in the long haul. And as managers, then we should be paying attention to some of these guidelines listed here as well. As we want to and strive to retain staff, are we listing some of these realistic job expectations upon hiring? Or is it just expected that, oh, you'll come to work and not needlessly call off? The answer should be yes, and yet we all have enough world experience to know that that's not always the standpoint. And with this orientation onboarding would sort of go back to the beginning of our slideshow here about that. What is that absence culture? How is it viewed if one is calling off for non-medical reasons, so to speak? And again, this employee recognition. Are there staff who are doing wonderful jobs of being committed employees by coming to work? Are they being recognized? Are they either getting monetary rewards, or are they getting this pat on the back as they're being rounded by us as managers, just giving them the thanks of that? So to review here, again, as managers, what we want to do is, first off, we want to gather information. We want to know policies. We talked about some of the FEMLA as well as organizational policies and when people are more likely to call off in that non-medical standpoint, or that voluntary call off. And how do we sort of manage that as managers as well? Like, how do we direct that? And here's a video to speak into that.
Repeated employee absences can be frustrating and difficult to manage. Clear communication is key to resolving the issue, as an individual may be experiencing bullying or discrimination at work, or they may have a serious illness. Whatever the reason for absence, there are 4 steps business owners can take to reduce absenteeism. Document company policy on leave and absence in the employee handbook and ensure all staff are aware of the details. Enforce the policy fairly and consistently. Record and monitor leave to identify any patterns or high absences. Conduct training for both managers and employees on leave policies and potential outcomes of non-compliance. If an individual continues to be absent without proper explanation, the next step is to arrange an informal meeting to discuss the employee's health and welfare. This meeting must include an opportunity for an employee to tell their story, with a support person present if requested. If the issue cannot be resolved, or if it continues without proper explanation, employers may consider starting a formal disciplinary process to resolve the issue.
So that was just, again, what we can do as managers to manage absenteeism and sort of prevent some of this staff turnover. So again, we had talked about our staff retainment. So as managers, encourage our staff, motivate them, be that good role model, partner with them, give them choices in some of the unit decisions, give them responsibilities so that they feel like they have that employee engagement. Helping to advance professional development and or growth are also ways to assist with that staff retention. And then again, reward them with positive behavior. There's some references that I used during this research. And thank you very much for listening.